Hello everybody, how's it going today? It's Frankie and the background of a movie review. And this movie is called Override. This has to be possibly the most clumsiest and most lethargic movie I have ever seen. There's been a lot of movies that have lethargic acting in it. I've never seen one that mixes in with clumsiness like this. It's about this guy called Taylor, and he loses, he wants to avenge his daughter's death by finding the guy that killed her, basically. I'm not going to mention much of this, I'm going to summarise it. It starts off pretty well, with a fight scene between him and this big dude, and it goes back to him actually being a bit like, guilty. He talks to someone called, I've forgotten, was it Brain? No, Brain who? I think it was a guy in a car, and he tells him, look, you got to, take something in that car, like take it to the garage. And so he takes Adele's car. Excuse me, or Adele, have you want to pronounce it? It's spelled A-D-E-L, so I'm going to say it the way I think it's pronounced. And, he then has a bit of a fight with him. Not the best fighting I've ever seen. He takes it to the garage, and then he finds out some sort of like briefcase in like the trunk, and then he's been told to hide it. And you see these dudes that come in after a while, and actually, they find out where he lived. They find out where the briefcase is. After Taylor talks to these dudes. I think he talks to Abby and another dude. I've forgotten who the dude's name is. And then they find out that they're in a garage, and three dudes come in and they sort of sit that dude's throat and then kill him. The dude that Taylor was, in the car with before he told him to actually, steal that car for evidence purposes. And they want to know where the case is, what briefcase, bag actually, where the stuff is in. The guy's name is Hawazi. Hawazi's the one that's, is the mastermind behind all this. And you got another dude that's with him, two other dudes as well that's with him. And yeah, so he eventually takes a bag and he finds out some sort of like plan or codes or whatever there is to it. Something to do with like, an explosion or a bomb or whatever there is. And then Abby sort of like tells him off, here and there. And then you see his sister, you see like Taylor's sister come into this when Abby thinks that she's like robbing him or something like that. And then Taylor goes to like his ex's house, Marcy. Was it Marcy? There was a name that is Marcy, and talks to her over like something that he found. And yeah, there's a bit of tension there. And then they watched, they watched the footage. Not really much was happening in that. Then it cuts to like Hawazi talking to someone called Prince Amat, something like that, and talking about his biggest plan that he has and stuff like that. And yeah, so then cuts to like back to Taylor with his ex-wife, and yeah, still more tension there. And then Abby comes in. Don't know why it would be called Abby. I swear that's how it's been pronounced. I swear it. It's by Abie. It's a dude. So I was a bit confused. I thought it was Addy at first, but I think it's Abby. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And then Abby just tells him that he was like an undercover cop into trying to get Hawazi and his plans and get all the information from back then. And then Taylor just says, just tell me the truth. And yeah, so he did eventually, and they come across Detective Crowley, who then doesn't believe Taylor at all. Actually thinks there's more to what he's saying. And then there's this odd scene where Taylor sort of catches itches a plan where his sister is around. He says that, look, his sister's that perfect subject because she's not such a perfect person to make us follow where Prince is going. I think his name is Prince Amat. Yeah, I'd say Prince anyway. A bit weird why you want to do that for using your sister as bait, but okay. And they chase after them, and they find out where she is. I don't know how they went their separate ways, because you see Abby in one scene, he just sneaks up, and he gets hit over the head by Hawazi. I don't know where Taylor was in all this. And it is a clumsy part. Taylor just tries to sneaks and uses stealth. I swear I thought this dude was an officer or whatever. It always usually is like that with these sort of movies. And then he acts clumsy and he hits some sort of trash can or something. And then they get him at gunpoint and Ado, Ado tells, he tells Ado to actually kill him, like takes him somewhere, and then that's when this is the fight scene which I don't really know what to say about this one, really. You would think in movies like this guy should be a classical fighter. It took this guy time to try and get this guy at least like dead, at least like unconscious or something like that. It took us some time. So much for he came up against tougher dudes. I give him that one. He definitely showed a lot of, grit, a lot of determination. But I said movies where the fighting's more crazy than that. And you eventually just kill him. He definitely just goes a dull dude. And then, like I said, there's not really much else in this movie to report, I guess. And then he goes to report that to Crowley further on in the movie, and Crowley knows a few things. I mean, she did let Prince Hazmat go after they rescued out his sister, because he's on I think deportation visa, whatever it's called. Yeah, I know about that one. And then because he got there and he saw like some sort of bike, and he takes her to like where Abby is getting is held hostage at, or tied up at. He had a bit of a confrontation with Harazi, who's exchanged like some words. I'm not going to get into that. It's a bit of a boring scene. And then this dude, I don't know who this dude is. On the top cast section, they didn't say who he was, so I don't really know who this character is as such. And then Taylor comes to save him, and saves Abby's son as well. So as a cool moment, and then they find out more clues as to what's happening and what's going on, and they keep it feels like they were at dead end. It's like this movie such a slow pace. It just feels like it's at a dead end every time. And there was times where I thought the movie was on mute and it wasn't working. So because the music was turned off and then it went back to it. I just found this movie a bit slow and tepid in a lot of scenes. And then you see like Taylor nearly overdosing. Yeah, it wasn't quite, he didn't quite do it, obviously. He's a main character's not going to, but Abby tells him, look, we need to do this. Crowley even told it, Taylor stuff to get from the officer, but she allowed it eventually, obviously. And the camera as well was shown. Not much else was shown on that, apart from what Harazi's plans were and what he was doing, those sort of things. And so I literally thought somebody would be in there, that Crowley chick, but she actually wasn't. She was more like, because her brother like died in that some sort of like explosion on a ship or something like that. I think some sort of like bomb. I don't know what it was. And she gave him some sort of address to where he's at. At one point I thought, okay, they got him, but they let him get away. No, they let him get away. He got away, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's a bit strange. How they found him, but all of a sudden they couldn't stop him in that moment. Two of them, because there was a big explosion happened at Bonowitz. It was going to happen, and they didn't quite stop that. And apparently he was meant to assassinate the chairman or whatever it was, and those people were just an inconvenience. Found that quite strange. But then they managed to get him eventually. I just don't see the point in these movies. If you have the enemy right there, they're right there. I don't understand at all in the slightest what on earth they're thinking about there. It didn't make much sense. And then you come to the scene up towards the end where they actually, find them. And I literally don't know how Harazi shoots Abby, and I don't know, because Abby holds one enemy at gunpoint and Harazi just shoots him. I mean, did he shoot both of them? I have no idea what went in there. So he falls to the ground, and Abby dies eventually. When you see like this officer come and try and help him, I've forgotten this dude's name, so I don't. I've got good memory, but I can remember as much as I can. And this is where Justice is. Obviously, end of the movie, who's going to kill him, but it took some time. Taylor eventually catches up to him before. I thought it was going to be a scene where he gets on the plane and he sort of kills him, right, on the plane, or brings it down basically. Didn't happen. It was before he got to the plane. So pretty interesting I did that one. They're pretty different charges other movies are. Well, actually I did see it on one more shot actually, so it's not nothing new. So it can be like that. Maybe it's usually on shows they do that sort of thing. And in the fight scene here, it just made Taylor look very weak. Again, not all these type of movies are meant to be the same. But come on, I've seen movies like this where the fight is more stronger and quicker. Maybe it's only like military or police officer orientated. This dude's not. I thought this dude was an officer at first. Because, what was it? Abby said we couldn't let you, we couldn't tell you. But unless he referred to it because they couldn't tell because it's personal. That's probably what it was. I probably misunderstood that part. So yeah, and then he sort of like gets Harazi out eventually, and then sort of stabs him back. That scene there, he's lucky enough he just got him, because it was very mismatched, very poor, very slow fighting. It didn't last very long. Could have had something more crazy happening. There was a scene where he did actually get the knife, picked it up, and you think, okay, just stab him, or just put it. Why do people do that where they just hold it before they fight? Like, say, I've got a knife here, you go. Yeah, just yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you can take it off me anyway. You're probably more stronger than me anyway. You're more smarter. Hide in your pocket, and when you get close, do that on the side. Maybe it's not that easy. Maybe they probably know that the knife's dropped and they know the person has it. But use your head. In that moment, that made it. He just took the knife off him. Like, I don't that easily took the knife. Aha, got the knife off. Come on, man. I've never known that. The protagonist. I don't usually use that word often. The protagonist would just have the knife still on him, and then they start attacking. I don't understand. I didn't get that, how he just took the knife easy off him like that. And then he eventually gets him, and then justice is served, and it cuts to him in Abby's graveyard, because it has that little stone that Abby uses to pray, or whatever it is. So yeah, and then Crowley offers him a job. Crowley offers him a job at with what they do, similar, some research thing or whatever it is. And yeah, it's quite. I like those type of movies towards the end. I like when justice is served. I give every action movie props to that. I like things like that, and you could say the rating's a tiny bit notched up because of that. I'll give him that one. But yeah, so yeah, there's not really much else to tell in this movie anyway. I just skipped the boring bits, but it's just brief. So if I miss out any important or exciting scenes, let me know. Rating for this, well, I only have one number in my head. That's a 3 out of 10. The ending part's the only reason why I'm giving it a 3. And what it's about, I'll give them that. But the action, it was slow, it was lumbid, the acting was poor. The audio, I don't know if it's because there was a year, I think it was 2009, 2010 this film was made. Even the quality should still be better than that. It's like they were recording in like an empty house every single time. That's what it felt like. It was echoey, or like they were recording in the bathroom or whatever. It just felt echoey. I don't know, maybe it's just how dumb I can be sometimes, that I don't realise that it's probably because of the year it was made. That's probably how a lot of movies were. I've seen better movies with better acting than that in those years. There's loads of movies out there like that. I just don't understand that. It's such a shame, because this movie sounded good. It was up my street, but the fighting was like, because it's like it didn't feel like proper heroics. And maybe it's because his character's not like military background. That's what made him weak, I guess. That's probably what it is. I'm thinking, unless he was. I don't know, the movie wasn't quite clear on that part. If he was part of that background, should have made him a better fighter, shouldn't they? He fights kind of like how I would fight, and I don't fight. I would be knocked out immediately. I wouldn't be strong enough to throw punches. But this dude should be at least showing a bit more grit. And actually, ironically, probably the only character that had an understandable demeanor in the whole entire film. He had a bit of a serious and mean look about him, which is how a lot of protagonists have. Not the villains, but look of like they want justice. Maybe not for family, but possibly for a friend or whoever it is, or whatever it is. But yeah, I like the looks. I like the demeanor on his face. I thought that was quite cool. I'll give him that one. Probably the only one that actually tried acting, but they just didn't act properly. I think Harazi, for me, acted great as a villain. I'll give him respect. Whoever played Harazi, brilliant. great bit of villain acting right there. The rest was just no hope for me. The acting for me was not there. Audio felt a bit, I would say audio, but again, the way they delivered the lines, there wasn't enough. I didn't build a proper connection with them. The improvements I gotta say, yeah, like I said before, acting, have more action, probably have the characters deliver the lines better, I suppose. Could have had a twist, maybe. That's a bit of a dilemma. Yeah, a lot of improvements are needed, but the ending is what I've given for this. You know, I can't hit on these endings. I mean, if something happened to my daughter like that, I would want justice and revenge too. So yeah, 100%, I would respect these. I respect these type of characters every time, and I'm pretty sure every parent out there would do too in that scenario. But yeah, he also did cheat as well. There was a bit of a story there which I was going to cut out, but a bit of a bad story where, you know, he actually went to drive, right? He actually wanted, you know, go to a hotel or wherever it was to cheat and sleep with this woman, saying her affair's over, and that's why his daughter was left in the car. Bit of a silly move. You could just call the person up, but you could just wait it, or at least, I mean, then you couldn't do anything. You could just woke your daughter up. I mean, I know it wasn't his fault because these things can happen at the spur of the moment, but that wasn't his fault. But leaving his daughter in the car is probably not the wisest thing. Could have woke her up. It would have just been a car that got destroyed. That's worse, but at least would have still had his daughter back. But again, it's good that he got revenge. So yeah, that's it for this video. 3 out of 10 it is. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification below. So see you in my next video.